I'm Alexandra August.
I'm Johnny Kolosinski.
And welcome to the DiscoTrek. We are a Star Trek Discovery recap podcast, and we come at you every Friday with new episodes based on the previous night's Star Trek Discovery episode. Johnny, would you like to tell people where they can find us on social media?
You can find us on Twitter at the DiscoTrek and on Facebook.com/the DiscoTrek.
Yep.
Pretty darn easy.
Yep, and you can also find the show wherever you're currently listening to it, obviously, but if you have a friend and you want to tell them about it, you can tell them they can find us on Stitcher, on iTunes, on Spotify, and we also run another podcast called Got Thrones, a Game of Thrones podcast, and currently we are dropping DiscoTrek podcasts on that feed as well.
Yes. So you can find us everywhere podcasts are sold.
You are correct. This week we are going to be discussing Season 2, Episode 7, Light and Shadows.
Yeah.
And I'm having to ask all of you to excuse me a little bit in advance. I'm traveling and I'm sick, so not only will I probably sound like a frog and cough unless I mute it in time, I'm also on my computer mic, so if the sound is a little bit wonky this week, that's why.
Yeah, I have no excuse. I'm just a damn mess.
No, Johnny sounds beautiful, as always.
All right. So, Alexandra and I, we pre-discussed a little bit, and I think we've kind of got the same opinions on Light and Shadows.
Yeah, sort of the first. I think we both agreed this was the first episode all season that really left us not feeling great.
Yeah, they fucked with time, and I still didn't like it. What the hell?
I know. Tilly swore on the bridge almost, and I still didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really struggled with every piece of this.
Yeah.
There wasn't a subplot that I was excited about. Everything felt kind of phoned in.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe unearned. If we talk... but just a quick recap. So this week we had three sort of distinct storylines, or subplots. Tyler and Pike take a shuttle to investigate a tear in the space-time continuum, which, I love tears.
As one does.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh. Of course you're going to investigate it. Of course you're going to get caught in it. Of course, time's going to split. I was very excited about that. Of course, things go sideways. And they spend most of their time trying to get out. Once they get caught, Stamets helps. They get back to the ship and become friends along the way.
Yeah. The real-time emergency was the friends they made along the way.
Yep. Probe included.
Yeah, time friends.
So, and then elsewhere, Burnham realizes that she really needs to find Spock before Section 31 and/or Starfleet does. So she convinces Pike to let her take personal leave to Vulcan, where, surprise, Spock is hiding.
Yeah, Amanda's got him in a cave.
Yep, in the middle of a bunch of, Magneto helmets that don't allow Sarek to sense him. And Sarek is literally sitting in front of Amanda and has been for hours trying to scan for his son using his, mental cerebro. And sorry, I just watched the Dark Phoenix trailer, so that's what my head is. But
oh, I'm sorry.
Everyone I don't know. Maybe my radar is just off when it comes to Jean Grey and the Phoenix, because I really liked it. Everyone else hated it, but I'm excited.
Normally, this is not if this is your first time listening, normally we're huge fans of everything, and today we're your angsty, angry sci-fi fans.
Yeah. And then finally, once Burnham manages to get Spock off Vulcan, or once Sarek tells her she has to, I was kind of confused by that. She rendezvous with Section 31 and hands over her brother, which in 5 minutes turns out to be the worst idea in the world, and so they take off for parts unknown. Once that is over, the episode was written by Ted Sullivan, and who's one of the main writers on the show, and has been since the beginning. He wrote the teleplay, and he and Vaughn Wilmot, who also wrote New Eden, broke the story for that, and it was directed by Marta Cunningham. It's her first time on Discovery.
Quick news before we pop into in-depth discussion. Speaking of production aspects, Discovery has been renewed for season 3. Hooray!
I know. I was so worried.
With its 84th showrunner. Co-showrunner. Michelle Paradise, who we've yet to see any of her work on Discovery, but apparently was impressive.
She's
will be joining
writing. Actually, that's interesting that you say that, because she actually is going to write, or she has written. She wrote Project Daedalus, which is going to be episode 9, and directed by Jonathan Frakes. So.
Oh, cool! I didn't know Frakes was coming back again. That's great.
I didn't either. Yeah.
The camera's going to stand still.
Yeah. So that episode's going to be dope.
Yup.
I assume. And Anyway, so
and then she'll be back for episodes 13 and 14, which are the last 2 episodes of the season. I don't think we have titles for those yet.
No, we don't. I'm staring at a Wikipedia article, which has been backed up by, I think, TrekMovie.com about 10 days ago. But, yeah, and then she is... Sorry, folks. Okay. Michelle is going to be co-show running with Alex Kurtzman, but obviously Alex Kurtzman is creating like 80 other shows.
Yeah.
So he'll be busy. I have a feeling she's going to have more of a hand in this than he will, which is just my guess since they're developing so much right now. But we'll see.
Yeah. So overall, didn't care for. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Her most recognizable credit would be the originals on the CW. Cool.
Yeah. So overall, like I said, I wasn't overwhelmed by anything this week. We got to see Spock and
right?
I liked Kid Spock a lot better. No, I didn't dislike this Spock at all. I didn't dislike Ethan Peck.
It's just Spock is here and he's not here because he's not mentally there. So now that they've built up all this anticipation for Spock, and we finally see him, but not really. I mean, presumably that will change. Yeah. So that I was just surprised that we're finally going to get to see Spock, and it felt so anticlimactic.
Yep, and of course, Mom doesn't think, these numbers he's repeating, and also he's got space dyslexia. Maybe we should try it backwards. And
I don't know if you heard me, but my eyes just rolled out of my head.
You should go catch those.
Jamie Lannister has dyslexia. Spock has dyslexia. Why is dyslexia every go-to fantasy learning disability?
Yeah. Computers don't figure. Why don't we do what would that? It wouldn't be a Boolean search of all known variations. Nah, we'll just go in order because yeah.
The first thing that I thought, now I get that Amanda probably hasn't seen Battlestar Galactica, but the first thing I thought when he was repeating those numbers over and over again was like, oh my god, it's their coordinates. Obviously they are coordinates. It's not a pass. It's not a safe.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, I guess. So maybe that was just. I felt like everyone was punching below the belt this week. I didn't think anything was as funny. I didn't think anything was as earned. I think specifically once we start talking about Ash Tyler and Captain Pike, it just felt. I felt like to a degree they were playing to the lowest common denominator with this one.
It felt like I'm holding off. Let's continue bitching about Spock and the Saracens, and then we can bitch about Ash Tyler. Let's keep ourselves on focus. I felt every aspect of this episode was tell don't show. When Amanda, when Sarah comes in and explains, you put him in Katra stones that are impervious to telepathy. She's like, yes, that's it. Like that. That's what I thought when I thought that exact thing when I heard that line. It felt like not even comic book movie dialogue, comic book dialogue. And it was like not graphic novel dialogue, but Superman dialogue.
Yeah. Compared to the episode that Kristen Beyer wrote a couple of weeks ago, and the name escapes me because I've had some Dayquil, but that dialogue was so poetic and so sophisticated and so, I think you could say certain points of that episode were like a little too poetic, but I'd rather that than this sort of...
You forgot that I'm your wife and not your subject?
Yeah.
You're not my ambassador?
Yeah. I kind of dug this. I like the relationship. I think that I think Mia Kirshner and James Frayne. Yeah. I think Mia Kirshner and James Frayne are great actors and really sell that relationship. But the dialogue was, it felt like I was watching a soap opera.
Yeah.
I
won't fault any of the acting in this episode, but just dialogue wise and plot wise, it felt raw, and not raw in a, oh man, this is really getting to the emotions, but raw in, we didn't give this the time it needed.
Yeah, like a rough draft kind of thing.
Yeah. I wonder how much of that has to do with the showrunner change up, that if we're seeing the results of that from 2 episodes ago.
Oh, yeah, folks if you'll remember,
the 5th episode was the final episode with the second original showrunners of Gretchen Herberg and
Aaron Harberts and Gretchen
Aaron
Berg.
Harberts and Gretchen Berg. Yes.
We also have dyslexia.
Yeah. No, we have dumb. We have dumb.
That's not how that. We have dumb. Yeah. Yeah, and like to be fair, like I don't like there's really no way of telling like what once Gretchen and Alec left, what Alex Kurtzman would have gone in and put his hands in. But we could, I mean, it's doubtful they would have had the time to go back and rewrite all of the episodes that they worked on. We also don't know like how far out Gretchen Berg and Aaron Harberts were writing, but it does seem, but I'm kind of with you. It seems to me like this was kind of a marked
I just wonder if Kurtzman was spending so much time taking the reins that it didn't get, this particular episode just didn't get the same editorial polish time. Just from a pure manpower, person power
Well, and
standpoint.
that surprises me, though, given that it's Ted Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like Ted Sullivan is like a freshman writer, not even on this show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's been one of the major writers. He's been one of the most prominent writers. He's a co-executive producer. He's been one of the most prominent writers on this show since the beginning, and a huge influence on it. So that surprises me even more that not only did he break the story, he wrote the teleplay, he wrote the script.
Maybe,
and the script was something I had a huge problem with.
Maybe, and again, this is all speculation, but one of the reason they did the mid-season shift in showrunners was because the episodes were damn expensive.
Well, that makes sense, because this did not look as expensive as the other few.
I wonder if there were edits that happened. If, you know, it was supposed to take place on the Space Titanic, and they couldn't afford it, and so instead they stuck him in a cave.
That's a good point.
And just a lot of... I just feel like this is my years of experience as a guy who's almost finished a couple scripts. It felt rushed.
Yeah, it really, like, I don't understand why I needed to sit there and watch Michael try to convince Amanda to get Spock to a hospital when she's his mother, and, like, obviously Michael knows that Spock is wanted, and if they take him to a hospital, that's the last time we'll ever see them. Like, she was the one trying to get him before Starfleet got to him for that express purpose, and now she wants to hand him over to a hospital on Vulcan, and Vulcans will surely turn him in. So that didn't make much sense to me. And then Sarek comes in and basically says, nope, we're going to send him to Section 31. Like, so what was the point of that? Like, what was the point of Amanda, like, finding him and taking him? How did she even find him? That may have actually been stated in the episode. I really tried hard to pay attention, but occasionally I had a 30-second coughing fit, so I might have missed something here or there.
It came to her, probably?
I guess. Yeah. I don't know how he would do that when he, like, can't string a sentence together, but...
I don't know. Maybe he has a bracelet with his address on it.
That's an excellent point. I mean, maybe he was in a mental institution.
Yeah.
I don't know. They would give I figured like they would give his more recent address, but you never know.
Yeah. Well, forwarding transporter.
Yeah, and then like Sarek being upset that that Alice in Wonderland is this big forbidden literature in their home, and Amanda's like rebelled against her husband by reading it to him, and she's so ashamed that he has dyslexia. Like, I'm also don't buy that Vulcans at the Science Institute wouldn't help Spock, who is Sarek's son. Like, Michael, I get, just with the racism that they've kind of built into the Vulcan history, but Spock did not, like, I don't know. That seems melodramatic to me. All of this seemed really melodramatic for Vulcan.
I feel like the Vulcans would have helped him with the space dyslexia, just so that they could prove him stupid in neurotypical ways.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
He's not failing because he has space dyslexia. I can't even be asked to remember what it's called.
No, I mean, I could barely understand it when they said it.
It
sounded too close to dyslexia. I was like...
But no, yeah, we cured his space dyslexia, and he's just dumb because he's a human. That's the Vulcans I know.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing we didn't like.
Yeah, and it's I'm just a little, again, also confused that Michael is just like, yeah, sure, fine, Dad, I'll take it to Section 31. Will you? That seems like it's still a very bad idea, and turns out to be, because
I would have loved to have our expectations dashed there, the way we have a little bit with Georgiou until they weren't.
Can you elaborate on that?
I would have loved to have had our expectations dashed and have Section 31 actually be the right move.
Yeah, as opposed to like, oh, no, you just like, oh, if it walks, talks, and quacks like a duck, it's an evil duck.
Yeah.
Like, and that just, that was just, I mean, it was totally so we could get it felt like a way for us to realize that Leland is now responsible for the death of Burnham's parents, which, again, was something that I really didn't need.
Yeah. There are 19 people in the post-Enterprise pre-original series Federation. That's it. And they're all connected.
Yep. And Section 31 is
11 of them.
Yep, and pretty proud of the fact that they're Section 31, given they toss comm badges at people.
Yeah.
We'll put a pin in Pike and Tyler. We probably should, because I kind of want to get back to Leland. And
yeah. So I've liked having the mildly softer Empress Georgiou, and having the potential, this is what it's like when I'm allowed to care about someone, as opposed to having to both kind of care and also watch for knives.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've a little bit discounted with the new characterization of Georgiou, that I was initially like, how is she going from being this empress, this like Machiavellian on steroids character, to coming over here and kind of being cool, being a second in command, and I mean, obviously she's not going to stay there for long, and also having this sort of soft spot for Burnham. It just didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But what you just said, the fact that because she doesn't have to because she's the one in control now, she's not constantly looking behind her. And if she is, she's probably seeing whoever's there, because no one is as stealthy or as good at this game as she is in this universe. Yeah. Like, she will, like, I firmly believe now they are going to have her at some point run Section 31, because what else would she do?
Right. It's not like, well, now she finally can open that threat ganglia shop that she always wanted to do. and it'll be ethically raised and locally sourced.
And she's just going to start with threat ganglia at first, and then she'll branch out into, like, Kelpian jerky and kinds of stuff. She's going to start with a food truck.
Yeah.
Got her new Kelpian concept going on.
For all the Ohioans listening, apparently an awesome food truck that was a donut truck in our hometown of Toledo, Ohio, called Holy Toledo, has now opened to a brick-and-mortar location.
Yay!
Yep. This has been brought to you by our sponsors, Holy Toledo. That's a lie.
Please send us free donuts.
Please send us free donuts. Or just give them to my dad.
Yeah, like the thing about... I'm just imagining your dad waking up to like 2-3 boxes of donuts on his desk. Thank you. The idea that it was just, I mean, everyone in Section 31 was lame. Like, they told, like, it was a lame lie that Leland told her. It was a lame ruse on Georgiou's part. Like, when Leland says, she overpowers you. You saw the cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, come on.
Batting eyelashes.
Seriously. You guys are not even playing two-dimensional chess at this point.
It was even a lame medical uniform.
Yeah. Why are they wearing raincoats?
Yeah. Oh, actually, that makes sense for Section 31. I'll buy that. That was probably
spatter.
Yeah. This was possibly that doctor's first time with a live patient in months.
Or a patient they weren't, internally investigating.
Yeah, and then Michael, I know more about you than you know. Okay, that's fine. Let's get that mystery. But Leland's responsible for Burnham's parents' deaths. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and folks, if you'll recall, Burnham's parents died in an attack on a Vulcan human science outpost called Doctori Alpha. A Klingon terror attack was waged. Klingons, they fought a door-to-door war. Klingons burst into her home. Her parents hid her in a closet, and Klingons murdered both her father and her mother, and then proceeded to eat dinner. It was rough. So what I'm assuming Leland did is somehow orchestrate that attack to sort of do this behind-the-scenes puppetry that Section 31 is famous for doing.
Yep. And we know that Pike is aware of some nasty things that Leland did, so it's quite possible we're going to get a spoilers for Captain America Civil War. We're going to get a situation where Pike and Burnham have this buddingly great relationship, and then we find out that, but Pike knows about Leland's responsibility and is keeping that under his hat.
That's interesting. That would be, I kind of like that idea because, I mean, as much as we like Pike, I like that sort of fallibility in him, that he'll have known this the entire time and didn't tell her.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the idea of that inspiring Burnham to like burn Section 31 to the ground, and maybe we are going to get a reason for Section 31 being way more underground in DS9 sooner than we thought.
Yeah. It's got to go somewhere, and they've got another season to do it.
See, that's the thing. I don't know that it has to go anywhere. I feel like Discovery has retconned enough stuff, and this isn't a huge canon explosion, I feel like. I mean, it is, but I don't feel like it's one that's particularly relevant to them. Like, I think they can get away with it. But I don't know. I don't trust that they will go back and... I don't trust that they will write something for Section 31 that puts them as underground as they are in DS9.
I don't know if they need to write them, getting totally burned, but they need to answer that question at some point. They need to answer why,
why it's basically common knowledge.
Yeah.
To way more people in the 23rd century than it ever is in the 24th, when arguably they're just as powerful and they wear almost the same uniforms.
Right. Why is Section 31 as well known as SEAL Team 6 is right now? Exactly.
Like if Section 31, okay. Leland Alan von Sprang is really good, but I also kind of want more background into Leland because he seems like somebody who is a little bit more conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of goes with my theory again that Section 31 played a little nice in the beginning. Like in the beginning, and like the Enterprise episodes, their appearances are pretty benevolent. They're actually pretty helpful, and they're not as straight up evil as they are in the 24th century. And I think, Johnny, you meant, and like we talked about the idea that like if they weren't quite as evil when they started, like that would account for them being a slightly less Black Ops presence.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, you're spies, but we don't need to deny you fully.
Right.
It's not, like you're the CIA.
Leland can be Oliver North.
Exactly. So, maybe we are, maybe the fact that he's a little bit conflicted and he's a little bit uncomfortable with what he has to do is an indication of that. But I just want more of that, I guess. And again, like, I don't understand, like, the idea that he's responsible for the death of Burnham's parents just seemed like it came out of left field. Like, how old is this guy? And when was he working? Like, he must have been in his early 20s, so he certainly couldn't have been. I'm assuming he wouldn't have been in position to command. So did he just screw up and Klingons attacked, like, provoked the Klingons somehow? I don't.
Or did he say, "Hey guys, have you read the Federation Charter? Take a look at Article 14.
Section.
Because we can do whatever the hell we want."
So to throw a party.
All
I
we
guess
need is a disaster.
We can also assume that was what was hidden behind that was what was hidden in his protected files that Giorgio accessed.
Yeah.
I just remember they mentioned that. So yeah.
It is possible that Section 31 staged/arranged the attack on Doctari Alpha in order to be able to act against another threat.
That makes more sense. Like, they've been trying to they knew that the Klingons were eventually going to have to be dealt with, and they just started, like...
Or it even wasn't the Klingons.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was, we need carte blanche to act against the Romulans without the Romulans having any idea we're acting against them.
Oh, okay.
Because we aren't even supposed to know that they exist right now, practically, because we haven't talked to them since Enterprise. So we need carte blanche to do that. We can't bring that to the forefront, so we're gonna stage a Klingon attack so that we can start doing shady shit.
Yeah. Or there was someone specific they wanted to kill on that planet.
Yep.
And use the Klingons to cover it up. Their possibilities are many. I still don't understand. I don't know. I'm still not interested in it. Like, it just feels like this is, again, I feel like this is a crappy example of Discovery biting off more than it can chew. Like, why? Mm-hmm. There is already enough going on with Burnham's family.
Yeah.
There's already, like, I thought we were focused on her relationship with Spock and I'm really enjoying getting a picture of her foster childhood with Sarek and Amanda. And I'm like,
can we talk about how great kid Spock is?
Oh, he's so precious.
He's so cute.
Oh my gosh.
We did like something, Alex. We did like something.
You do, yeah. SmolSpock is my heart. When he does the live long and prosper with her.
Yeah.
I will also never tire of people within Star Trek not being able to do the live long and prosper.
Yep.
I'm sorry, and I feel like a terrible Trekkie. Is there a name for that hand signal?
The Vulcan thingy?
The Vulcan salute? Like, is there an actual name for it?
I think it's the Vulcan thingy.
I'm good with that. Call the nerve pinch the Vulcan nerve pinch.
Yeah. Okay. Can we move on to the things that we really didn't like?
Yeah, I was just going to say the things that really pissed me off. Pretty much Ash Tyler in general acting like just swinging his dick around for no reason.
Well, he's got two.
This is true. One lives inside him as his shadow.
Yeah.
I love how, all of a sudden...
Oh, that's what it is. Light and shadows. He's got his light dick and his shadow dick.
Oh, we went there. This is an explicit rating for sure.
Yeah.
So you go first.
Here's my thoughts on the entire Pike Ash Tyler arc this week. This felt like a TNG episode in we're going to introduce Captain Pressman or someone on the command team doesn't get along with, and we're going to put them in a situation where they have to hate each other until the final act, and then they'll come off with a greater respect for each other, and then we'll never see Captain Pressman again. I guess Captain Pressman is a bad example because he ends up in jail, but
yeah,
they end up with a grudging respect for each other, and then we never have to deal with the fact that relationship developed.
And the most we learned from this episode about the Red Angel happened in the first 5 minutes, that they're wearing a suit that's from the future. An exosuit.
That wasn't from the first 5 minutes. We learned that from Saru last week.
We didn't know the suit was from the future.
We didn't? Okay.
Yeah, so I just pointed that out because I just made a mental note to myself. The suit's from the future doesn't necessarily mean who's in the suit is from the future.
Yeah. Something
to think about. But so they go into this thing and we get a big episode on time like out of phase. But it was basically like Stamets and Tilly and Saru all being like, if you're in nonlinear time, it's crazy. And once you get past the event horizon, there's no fighting you. It's like capturing a grain of sand in a hurricane with the tweezers. Like, we get it.
Yep.
I get it.
But, luckily, we did this last season.
And I have mitochondrial
So we've already solved the problem.
And this is like the second time mitochondrial DNA that Stamets has saved the day. It's the Wesley Crusher of season 2.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Total day. Like, yeah, this just felt like it was such a lame contrivance and a lame excuse to get Pike and Tyler in a shuttle to bicker a little bit and work out their differences. They had that,
and then for Pike to see himself killing Tyler, but he's not actually killing Tyler because he's killing a future robot.
Which the future robot should have been phased back in there too. Like, that was like there was no, to me, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, and please feel free, folks, to comment if I'm wrong, but shouldn't the squid probe have also been shouldn't he also seen
it had time armor.
Yeah, I mean, we know that exists. First contact.
That doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't bug me so much. Just I feel like that's the scene of Pike seeing himself shooting Tyler and then it not going that way was one of the something that ended up on the whiteboard as they were building out the season and just stuck around.
Yeah, it just felt like
we need this turnaround so that we can get Tyler trusted again.
Yeah, except I still don't trust him. I mean, I shouldn't say that.
I absolutely do trust him.
Yeah.
Because I don't give the character enough credit to not be trustworthy.
Yeah, he's not interesting enough.
Nope. Guys, I like Star Trek better when I like Star Trek.
Well, I mean, it's annoying because it was just that was a total tease. Mm-hmm. Like, ooh, Pike thinks he's going to eventually have to kill Tyler, but then there's really, there was no tension mined from that.
No.
Like, they just get busy trying to fight this probe, and then the probe comes through, and Pike finds himself shooting Tyler. And I'm sure, I'm sure in Pike's head at some point he was like, oh, good, what a relief. I'm glad that I'm not actually killing this person. He's attacked me. This makes more sense. Glad we worked that out. So that whole thing, it just seems like a sort of poorly constructed thriller. A poorly constructed sort of scary story, I guess.
Did you watch the Cloverfield Paradox?
It was a lame red herring. It was just a lame misdirect.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell from the meeting, I'm like, well, clearly he's not going to kill Tyler. Tyler's still around for the season, and I doubt Tyler's going to reveal his evil nature and then hypnotize Pike so Pike doesn't remember that he's evil, so Tyler can stick around for the rest of the season. So I'm betting...
I was really Davidic for all along.
So, I cautiously assumed that there's something else at work, and I was like, oh, I bet since we're only seeing the back of Ash Tyler that there's something he's holding that we can't see. Mm-hmm. Which is not quite what happened, but
there was something holding him, and it was the squid robots from the Matrix.
that was also, they were like, wait, the probe came back and now it's 500, now it's got 500 years, now it's got future tech on it, which was kind of strange. And
it was supposed to be a mystery.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. That's interesting to me. I'm excited for next week. I'm excited to learn more about this mystery, but
I'm more excited about. I'm excited about what it was doing with the computer
and with Ariam.
Yeah, and with Ariam, and hopefully we'll actually learn something about Ariam at some point.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this thing will either speak through her or because of that, she'll get a little bit more personality. And we'll learn more about her. I'm with you on that. That was a part of this episode I actually really did like. Was that was kind of neat, and I thought pretty subtly played.
Yeah,
given what else was going on.
Yep.
In the midst of the shit show surrounding her, that was pretty. Oh, also another part I liked when there's all this chaos when Stamets and Pike are like trying to deal with the probe, and then in the background you see Ash Tyler just going ham on the piece of probe that's in the computer, like he just keeps beating it with a stick. It was so funny. It's when in doubt, just
Klingon it out.
Yep. I think my big problem with this was that I just felt like the tension between Tyler and Pike was really unearned. I thought Tyler, since when is Tyler the type of character to just goose step onto the bridge, toss his comm badge at a captain and be like, you have to tell me where Burnham is? Like, that was weird, too. Like, she's not your property. Like, it's not, like, you have no, like, the only reason he's asking is because he's emotionally invested in her, which just makes him kind of a creeper. And then for him to insist upon this position with Pike just didn't, Pike is the most non-threatening, nicest, understanding guy you could meet. Like, why Ash Tyler would not just be like, hey, I'm worried
about her. Let's have tea.
And that just, it didn't make sense for either character to me that they would behave in this way. It felt like an excuse it just felt like an excuse for there to be some kind of tension. And yeah, you're right, like, confirm that Tyler can be trusted visibly to Pike. I'm
gonna play devil's advocate here.
Uh-huh.
And say, you know who it does fit?
Who?
Voke.
Yeah, okay, so if they are going to say that, there are still strains of Voke and there's still some Klingon feelings, I guess, or Klingon tendencies wafting around in there, I feel like that needs to be better established.
Yeah. It wasn't well established. And it's not something I thought about until you were talking about it.
Well, and it's sorry, I just lost my train of thought, but it just didn't seem.
No, it's not in character for Ash Tyler, and if Section 31 changed him that much in the 25 minutes he was on the team, okay.
Well, since when is Section 31 this flippant, nasty, superior organization in that capacity? Like, Leland might have a little fun with Pike, and they might, puff, 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 and sort of, for lack of a better word, dick measure around each other. Sure, I get that. But, like, in no way is Leland walking onto Pike's bridge and tossing a comm badge at him.
Yeah.
Flippantly in front of his bridge crew. That was just stupid. It didn't make sense for Tyler. Like, I know I'm harping on that specifically. It was just, it really stuck out to me as something I've never seen on Star Trek except in a villain. Mm-hmm. And supposedly Tyler's not this villain. And if Pike is so worried about Ash Tyler and he's so mistrustful of him, and supposedly if the chair outranks the badge, again, why is Tyler walking freely around this ship? Like,
why, or going on this mission?
Exactly. Why is Tyler walking freely around
unescorted?
Wilson Cruz, unescorted, when he could very easily bump into Wilson Cruz, which I honest to God believe is going to happen. Like, I believe that's how they're going to see each other again.
All right, so
anyway, exciting stuff though towards the end. So everything comes back, and I'm trying to remember if there was anything that they actually did. They get the sorry. So any blank moments, folks, before that are come after I say I'm sorry, just assume that I am coughing on mute, and just say that I'm giving you some suspense for what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Did they, aside from the probe sort of draining their computers or breaking into their data, did anything come of, and like breaking into Ariam, did anything come of this, like, did they learn anything from this mission or get the probe out? I can't remember.
I mean, they learned that Pike and Tyler are friends now. But no, they didn't get the probe out. They That's right. Oh yeah, they destroyed the shuttle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Pointless mission.
We have this. We do this same episode on our Game of Thrones podcast at least once a season, by the way.
Yeah.
Lots of things happened and none of them were executed well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good bow to tie in this episode. Ton of stuff happened, kind of, and none of it was executed particularly well, except for SmolSpock. Forever in our hearts.
Yep.
I would like to talk to you about a couple of theories
And the last bit that we didn't touch on.
Oh, right, Talos 4.
That's where Spock wants to go.
Yeah, so the numbers that Spock has been saying, 8573649 or whatever, that's not the song.
Yeah.
I thought I was trying to go for it. I was trying to make a bad 80s joke, guys, and it didn't work.
It turns out Spock's always been a Tommy Two Tones fan, which flies in the face of canon, because why did he never talk about Tommy Two Tones before? Worst series ever.
We talked about Spock's taste in music and how it's my favorite quality about him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this number that he's been scratching into the wall that Amanda didn't possibly think were coordinates are in fact coordinates if you spell them backwards. So 749148 are the coordinates for a little planet called Talos 4, which has a huge amount of significance not only for Star Trek but for Captain Pike.
Mm-hmm. We've said many times that we are not original series experts.
I'm pretty up on. I actually wrote, unless you were gonna.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I write for Screen Rant and for CBR, and I wrote an article recently when we were first getting to know Captain Pike, about getting to know Captain Pike. And so the first two episodes that Captain Pike appears in on the original series are The Cage and The Menagerie. It's a two-parter. And The Cage was the original Star Trek pilot that Gene Roddenberry sent to NBC, that NBC rejected, saying it was too cerebral, they needed to change it. They reworked it, cast Kirk. The rest is history. They did wind up airing The Cage, but in a retooled version as the first part of a two-parter called The Menagerie. And I'm not quite sure, I haven't seen The Menagerie in a long time, but basically Spock all of a sudden defies Starfleet orders and commandeers a shuttle, grabs Captain Pike, and starts traveling towards Talos 4. And this is straight under penalty of death that he's doing this. So it's a big deal that Spock is doing this. And Pike has been mortally wounded, basically, not mortally wounded, but hugely disfigured and almost completely disabled, after suffering, wounds from a battle or attack. I'm guessing he was doing something heroic, like trying to save people, but I can't remember the specifics. And Spock takes him to Talos 4 because in The Cage, the Talosians are a race of people who can make anyone appear as a sort of as whatever they want them to be. So there is, when Pike originally lands on the planet, he meets this beautiful woman named Vina, and he comes to find out that the Talosians, these incredibly powerful telepaths, have actually changed her appearance to look beautiful when in fact she's really horribly disfigured. So eventually Spock brings Pike back 10 years later during Kirk's time. Spock brings Pike back to Talos 4 in an effort to allow him to live out his days with some kind of peace and happiness. Which is kind of an interesting metaphor for assisted suicide now that I think about it.
Huh.
But that's neither here nor there. So the Talosians are extremely powerful telepaths. As you know, they've got the really great early 1960s alien enlarged brains.
Yeah.
Costumes, which we're seeing in our preview.
They're the scrotal brained aliens from original series.
Exactly. And I'm trying to remember exactly why they want Pike and Vina to be there. I think they want humans there so they can. You know what? No, I can't remember. Anyway, they want humans there. They eventually, they want to, oh, that's right. They wanted to breed them as slaves because they basically,
as a menagerie.
Yeah, basically. Because I think that they're in their advanced technology, they had lost the ability, somehow lost the ability to manage themselves or destroy their planet or something. I'm giving the worst explanation for this episode, but I just want to give you guys the 10 whole points. So, not only is Talos 4 and not only are Talos 4 the Talosians hugely prominent in Pike's storyline before he reaches Discovery, which is basically sort of the basis for his entire character, they are also where he ends up and will eventually live out the rest of his life after, like we said, he's horribly disfigured. So the fact that we're seeing them next week and that this is where Spock is taking Burnham, or this is where Spock has wanted to go, just brings up is really interesting in the context of the Red Angel and what they could possibly have to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it's there. Maybe Spock knows that he's in mental anguish, and maybe the Talosians can somehow straighten this out, using their particular powers. That's a shot in the dark. So, was an extremely significant mention. Probably, I would say the most significant canon mention or canon callback since we saw the Enterprise show up last season.
Yeah,
and I like this one a lot more, to be honest.
Yeah, and the
Talosians were very technologically advanced, but a nuclear holocaust left their planet virtually uninhabitable and killed most of the species. And they became dependent on their mental ability to create these stunningly real illusions. And because they became bored with the stuff that they were creating, that's why they imported some humans. Mm-hmm. They needed new content.
And Spock has already, the menagerie has already taken, or the menagerie part 1 has already taken place.
Yeah, / the cage. So Pike and Spock have both
been to Talos. Or the cage has, rather. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially, you were right. Pike and Spock have both been to Talos 4. Pike has met and fallen in love with Vina. So if she's there, which I'll be super interested to see, that should be a curious meeting. I don't know if they're going to do that.
I don't know if Enterprise will, if Enterprise will end up there.
If Discovery will get there.
If Discovery will end up there.
Yeah, it's important to know that Burnham and Spock are going to Talos 4 alone. So they are at the end of the episode. I think it could go either way. That Burnham could meet up with Discovery and say, okay, let's go to Talos 4, or they could go by themselves.
That's what happened. And overall, meh.
Yeah, I'm curious to... It looks like somebody else, my friend John at Screen Rant, whose name I did butcher the other week. I'm going to try not to do it this time. John Orquiola. Ugh, I'm so sorry. John Orquiola. Folks, if you find him on Twitter, he's the best. Search him. He theorized, and I think he's right, that Section 31 was using a Klingon mind sifter on Spock, which is this incredibly brutal and aggressive form of basically memory extraction. It's how they question people, and it's very brutal. And apparently, if they use it on you, it leaves irreversible brain damage. And the Klingons tried to use it on Spock in an original series episode called Errand of Mercy. But Spock's Vulcan discipline made them unable to penetrate his brain. Thank goodness. So,
what is brain?
What is brain? I was thinking about this concept of the mind sifter, and I'm wondering if the fact that it was used on him in a limited capacity already, or if they're going to try and use it on him again, if this is leading towards the explanation for why Spock never mentioned Michael Burnham, that he doesn't, at some point, they extract memories of her. Which I feel like is reaching, but we've also gotten there's been a lot of lip service paid to the fact that we're going to find out why Spock never mentioned Michael Burnham before the events of Discovery. And so I just wondered if maybe that would have something to do with it.
Yeah, that's...
Maybe Amanda...
to me, that's, like I said, that's not a question that needs answered just because that fits Spock perfectly.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah. I'm becoming less bothered by the fact that Michael Burnham wasn't mentioned by Spock. I kind of wish they would just go with it. Like,
yeah,
you created a sister. It was kind of a bumpy road at first, but Discovery's more than earned its place in Star Trek at this point in canon. Yep. Like, I don't need you to create these incredibly contrived workarounds to make it fit with canon, because, like, just canon's not perfect, and God knows I have my opinions on it. But I also don't like, and I don't know how you feel that, I also don't like these retcons, because I can just see the seams in it. Like, I see you sewing patches over what you wrote.
Right.
When I think
that's where you get the rough spots in Enterprise.
Yeah, and it attacks the integrity of the individual show while you're trying to save the integrity of the franchise.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
So
yeah,
but I also theorize that since there's, and this idea I kind of like better, since we've heard next week in the trailer for If Memory Serves, that Spock, I believe, or somebody said they've witnessed an alternate timeline, or a future timeline. And I'm not wondering if, since there's so much time travel happening, if we're not going to get if the reason Spock never mentions Burnham is because
she's temporal Cold War out of existence.
Basically, yeah. And my basis for that is that, okay, so the idea would be that, like, somehow some events are going to happen where there's a timeline in which Burnham doesn't exist, and that's the Spock that we experience and the Spock that's here now. And how that history could change without Burnham's own memories changing. Yeah. And that's not to say they wouldn't. It's just that, that first contact theory, when the Enterprise E was stuck in the temporal wake of the Borg cube, and they go back to the 21st century, or the 21st century to assimilate Earth. The Enterprise E remains unaffected, and when the temporal wake dissipates, they see what the Borg have done. They've assimilated the entire planet, but the Enterprise is fine. And they recall their memories of that timeline. Yep. So part of me is now wondering if Discovery is not going to do the same thing in some capacity.
Yeah.
And change history. So, and the fact that we've, mentioned Burnham's parents at this point, they shoehorned, like, the mention of her parents' death. I'm wondering if we're not going to go back to that point and history will change, where she's never raised by Sarek and Amanda. Spock doesn't know her, but she has the benefit of that experience.
Yeah. Leland doesn't. Leland doesn't kill the parents.
Because That's interesting. I kind of like that as a theory, though. I kind of like Burnham's history, though. Like, I liked that tragedy in her. So if her parents aren't dead, I think that would be kind of an intriguing thing for her to explore. But I also think it would be super problematic if, like, next season Burnham has parents who remember her in an entire life and she has to be like, right. So, funny story.
Yeah, your dad.
Yeah, you were. Now you're not, but I don't remember you at all. So
at all since I was 7.
Yup. So, yeah. So I remain intrigued for the solution to this mystery. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm intrigued about the Red Angel a lot more than I am the other aspects.
Okay, so the only thing I'm not super excited about is that while I'm really enjoying the anticipation when it comes to this mystery, who the Red Angel is, I feel like now we know with pretty much 100% certainty it's going to be someone we've seen before because it's a person in a suit. And at some point we're going to need a scene where somebody takes off that helmet and it's a big reveal and it's the Green Ranger or something.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I just don't think that there's anybody that could be under that helmet short of Captain Catherine Janeway that I'm not going to be like, all right.
It's William Shatner.
Oh, if only.
That would actually be phenomenal.
That really would be great. I would be super on board with that.
Sup, bitches, I can swear on this one.
You all thought I was out. You thought they didn't want to use me. Shows you. Well, he's even publicly said that he doesn't want to do Discovery or something, and I just kind of chalk that up to Shatner ego being like, well, they haven't asked me, but I don't even want to.
Yeah.
Which breaks my heart for him, poor guy. Yeah, so I'm not, like, again, I'm anticipating. I do, like, part of me obviously really wants to know who's in that suit, but I'm just, like, I'm worried it's going to be Burnham from the future, or a different
Spock
version
from the future.
Yeah, like,
I
shouldn't say that because I can't think of something that would be incredible that the Discovery Writers' Room couldn't. So
But you can't see what they've been working towards.
I can't.
You can't see someone else for them to.
I can't see someone else for them to build up to and for it to be resonant, and for that in and of itself to sort of spoil the mystery of it all.
Yeah, we haven't gotten enough of number one for it to be number one.
Well, and I just I like the idea of the Red Angel as this sort of abstract new alien being. You know, kind of like Encounter at Farpoint, where you get the solution to the mystery and it's just these weird aliens.
Yeah.
And it's aliens doing weird alien stuff. And it was cool. And it was interesting. And the point is, it's the journey. And the point is watching these people figure out this mystery, not necessarily the solution to the mystery itself. And I just feel like Discovery is sort of a show that really, really likes to hit home its big moments, and I'm probably not being very articulate, but I feel like it's a show that likes to paint its moments with a brush. So I don't think they're going to waste the opportunity to put somebody familiar and like, ooh, you didn't expect, like, to put somebody.
The Ash Tyler Voke reveal was started with literally the first scene.
Yeah,
and so they're not going to have this future savior be someone that we met, be Sarah Silverman, the astrophysicist that we saw only in this episode.
No. And, like, given how much, I just feel like a show that's this self-referential with its dialogue, too, and has these, like, opening narrations about, and employs symbolism to this degree, I feel like they're going to foreshadow who's in that costume, and they will have foreshadowed who's in that costume for several episodes, and we're going to see it, and we're going to be like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed, and I'm choosing to be optimistic about that, but I am a little bit worried that that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. So your bet's on Burnham?
We wrote a couple, and John, again, my friend from Screen Rant, wrote a couple, and so did this another coworker of mine, Hannah Shaw Williams, wrote a couple of theories at Screen Rant about who the Red Angel could be. One of which was it was Discovery's AI from Calypso.
Yep.
Which I thought was really interesting. Michael Burnham was another one. Sorry about that. Gabriel Lorca was one of them, like prime Gabriel Lorca.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I hope it's not that. I'm kind of done with him for now.
Well, they haven't given us any. Pardon me for this. They haven't given us any cookie crumbs for Lorca.
Yeah,
so
it
far
doesn't
this
seem
season.
Right. Yeah, my money's on it being someone like Burnham.
Yeah. Burnham or Tyler.
Yeah, or someone like, he's been here the whole time, and yeah. But again, like, this is, I am not a television writer, and God knows I'm not in that writer's room. So I think it would be, I do have faith in the writers of Discovery to create something that is like entertaining and really satisfying, and that really ties that up interestingly. I'm just, again, like you said, I can't see where they're going.
Lieutenant Bryce, I'm here too, damn it. I've been under your noses the whole time.
Oh, yeah. I am getting tired of everyone's theories about the Red Angel, just because I feel like I've been surrounded by them for a while. So I'm ready for that to be wrapped up. I have a feeling we're going to wait for it for a little while longer.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you want to touch on this week?
That's really it. So, next week, the title is If Memory Serves. If Memory Serves.
Literally. The title is, quote, If Memory Serves, end quote.
We're gonna make so many bad jokes next week, guys.
Yep. I say If Memory Serves a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's a problem.
I bet you we said it at least 5 times unintentionally this week.
This is true, folks. Yeah. Comment with how many times we said If Memory Serves.
You know what we didn't say this week?
Sub Rosa.
Sub Rosa.
Oh, we did now.
Yeah, and I mean, we had plenty of time to talk about it when we had various future ghosts bouncing around, so we're letting you down, guys, and I apologize.
Trek recommendations this week. If you would like to watch a couple of other Star Trek episodes to give yourself some fun context for this, or on that deal with similar themes, obviously I would point you to The Cage and The Menagerie, and then also a really fun 6th season episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation called Timescape. It's the one where time starts moving at different speeds on the Enterprise and on a shuttle carrying Troy, Picard, and other people that I can't remember. I think Data.
It's the one where Picard draws the smiley face in Warp Plaza.
Yeah,
Coolant Leak.
Yeah, as the which means with that kind of leak, it means they are watching a slow motion warp core breach, which means the Enterprise is about to explode, and he gets like time madness or something, and all of a sudden they hear giggling, and they turn around, and Picard is drawing a smiley face in the smoke, and it's really fun.
What's the episode? Just because I think that it's gonna come back to us based on our Red Angel predictions. What's the Captain Harry Kim episode?
Not Timeless.
Is it Timeless?
I mean, that's when he like commandeers a shuttle and brings Chakotay back to get Voyager from under the ice. That was their 100th episode.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Of main character goes back in time to save the future.
Oh, also Time and Again, that episode of, I think it's like the 3rd or 4th, or maybe it's one of the first few episodes of Voyager, and it's one of my favorites because it's got a really good joke in it from Tom Paris, but Janeway and Paris transport down to a planet, like, I want to say maybe like 7 hours, like less than a day before the entire planet is wiped out by nuclear holocaust, and they have to save the day, but they're but they can't reach the ship, and it's one of those planets where, thank goodness, everyone looks like human, so they blend in really well. But
because they wear hats?
No, everyone looks human, like nobody has any discerning. Yeah. So they manage to save the day and save the planet before that happens, which frankly breaks the temporal prime directive, but she didn't know about that yet. Yeah. So yeah, Time and Again is that's also just a fun Voyager episode. Janeway walks around in a really cute outfit with her hair down her back, and she and Paris have some fun banter. I'm pretty sure it's where like the Tom Paris Janeway ship got some legs.
I had no idea all these ships existed when I was.
And then you were not on Yahoo.
I was not on Yahoo
and
GeoCities in 1998.
There's a Wikipedia page for like old school GeoCities sites that are still up, and there are like several of them are Janeway Chakotay ships, like more than 5. Cool. So, folks, we will be back next week.
Yep.
With our discussion of episode 2.8 of Memory Serves, which Johnny just told you. Sorry again. I will be in better health, and I promise not to accidentally cough on the microphone anymore. And
it'll all be intentional.
Yeah. So we will see you then. In the meantime, please feel free to leave us a review or comment on our Twitter. Engage with us. We like that.
We're fans. We're fans of talking to you.
And if you would I'm stealing something from Cocaine and Rhinestones, which is an excellent country music podcast. If you just like podcasts, you don't have to like country music. It's really good. tell one person about this podcast. If you like this podcast and you know somebody who watches Star Trek Discovery, or you think somebody else, you know somebody who you think would like to listen to it, just tell that one person. Don't have to tell a million people. It goes a lot further than putting up a Facebook post or a Twitter post or anything like that. But if you know one person in your life that likes Discovery and obviously needs a good podcast to listen to about it, please pass along our information.
Yeah, and we appreciate you. Thanks,
we sure
guys.
Do. Thank you. I am at ALX August on all social media. And Johnny, where can we find you?
I'm at Cycloptico, CYCLOPTIKO.
Yep, you can find my work at Comic Book Resources and Screen Rant, and I believe, Johnny, you also have lots of work to find.
Yeah, you can find me on Medium. I'm mostly writing about cryptocurrency.
That's interesting. He's very good at it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, folks. This has been a blast. Live long and prosper.
Yeah, do that.
SmolSpock for life.
I like SmolSpock.
So precious.